What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to break down a video about a woman who actually she wrote an article um, a little bit ago, and the article was about her dissatisfaction with her life. Um, she's 38 years old, so she's already hit the wall. She's past that wall point of 35, but she's come to the realization now at 38 that her career, all the things that she's accomplished, all the things she was told as a woman growing up that would make her happy, that would fulfill her, that would sustain her, she's found out that it's a lie. You know, as she aged and as she's working and achieving things in her career, she's becoming more and more dissatisfied. And this is part of the feminist propaganda that women have been fed, unfortunately. The women of this generation, the women of the baby boomer generation, being told that, a career, being independent, this is all you need. You'll be happy, you'll be fulfilled. And it's just not true. And at least she found out now. She's 38 years old. It's better to find out at 38 than 48. Hopefully she can make some adjustments, but she wrote an article. She got a whole bunch of feedback for it. So now she's following that article up with this video, and she's going to go into what led her to feel the way she feels, why she feels that feminism lied to women, and what her new outlook is on life now going forward. If you are a man who is familiar with red pill space, passport bros, manosphere, any of that stuff, nothing she says in this video is going to be new to us. This is an eye opener and a revelation to her, but to us, it's what we already know, already knew, and what we've been saying for years now. We already know that it's family, it's relationships, it's marriage, it's children. These are the things that fulfill you in this life. It's not the things. It's not the number of zeros on your bank account. It's not the size of your 401k. These things are there. Yes, look, money helps. It's a lot better to get your check and be able to pay your bills than to get your check and be short paying two or three bills because the check's not big enough. So we're not saying that money isn't important. Of course it's important, but money cannot make you happy. How many times do we have to say it over and over again? But we live in a society that has convinced women, especially women, that a career, money, and material things make you happy. And every day, more and more TikTok videos come out, YouTube, articles being written of women who are just depressed and just finding out the hard way when they're, unfortunately, it's when they're at the wall or beyond the wall that they finally come to the realization that they've been duped. So let's get into this video and then we'll come back and give our thoughts.
For whatever reason, this article really resonated with people. But, when I wrote it, I was truly terrified. Like, I wrote a lot of that. It gets me choked up now. I wrote a lot of that article, like, truly scared. Like, I really did think, like, wow, you've missed your opportunity. Like, you are going to be alone. You're not going to have a family. Like,
Let me tell you something, guys. Let me interrupt this for a second. There is a difference between revelation and motivation. There is a difference between revelation and motivation. Motivation is when you hear someone say something or you hear a speech and it gets you excited for a day or two, maybe 3 days, maybe even a week. And then after that, the excitement wears off and you are the same person you was before you heard the message. Revelation is something that you hear, and when you hear it, it resonates with you. It resonates in your spirit, it resonates in your heart, and then it changes you. It forever changes you in that particular area of your life going forward. That's a revelation. A revelation is life changing. You are no longer the same person that you were before receiving or hearing the information. You are forever changed now in that particular area of your life. It can be with relationships, it can be with being a parent, it can be with monetary situations, it could be in your career. A revelation always changes you. It makes you into a different person than you were before you heard it. Motivation is doesn't change you. It's just something you hear that tickles your ears and it's exciting for a little bit. The fact that she got that emotional and she took like a 20-second pause just to gather her thoughts and to gather herself, that lets me know that she received revelation. That what she's talking about now is a revelation that she received, and it's going to change her life and how she views relationships and how she lives going forward.
I was
Which is what we want. This is what we want. I want revelation, and revelation hits people at different times. You can hear the same thing for 3 years, and for whatever reason, just because how you are, your experiences, the way you think, on the fourth year, the information that you've been receiving hits you, and you receive a revelation where it actually changes you at that point, where you're no longer the same person. So we all receive revelations at different junctures of our lives. Sadly, some people never receive revelation because the deception is just so deep that they're blind um, to see anything outside of their view.
really scared when I wrote that. Like that's exactly how I felt. And when I got comments after that article was published, like I said, there was hundreds of guys emailing me, texting me, LinkedIn messaging me, commenting on the post, saying you're selfish, you missed out. Um, you could have had all that. You've picked your career. I mean, calling me horrible things. I mean, it was awful. I
Now, I don't agree with that. Um, some of us do that, guys. We need to exercise a little bit of empathy when it comes to this kind of information because you got to remember, women have been lied to from the moment they pop out of the womb. We literally have a government and a media machine that is just feeding women bad information. And not only are they getting it from magazines, televisions, TV shows, movies, the education system, businesses, corporations that are marketing and advertising to them, a lot of this stuff is coming out of their home as well. We all know the women who've been raised by moms who say be independent, be strong. Look at the celebrity entertainment representation. Look at the Beyonces. Look at the Cardi B's. Look at the Taylor Swifts. Look at the different entertainers. So the propaganda and the bad information and the misinformation, women are fed these things 24/7. It's coming out of the television. It's coming out of the radio. It's coming all out of the internet. It's jumping off of the magazines, out of the books. I mean, so we have to have a little bit of empathy and understand why they are so cloaked in deception and why they can't see it. This is why when we talk to them and try to bring them clarity on things that is really going on, it is very hard to break through that deception that has been built up in them for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 years. And this is why once a woman gets past a certain age, it is very hard to build a life with her because she has had 40 years of propaganda just being poured down her throat. And it's at that point, it's almost damn near impossible to reverse all the misinformation, all the propaganda, and all the it's another word for it, all the propaganda, deception. That all works, but there's another word I wanted to use. The programming. It's damn near impossible to undo all the programming that she received over the last 40 to 45 years. That's why we say A lot of guys say once they hit the quote unquote the wall, you need to just go younger because it's too much work at that point to try to get a mate who's going to be compatible with you, who's going to let you lead because she has just been trained to be masculine. She has masculine traits. She's not feminine. She's not domestic. Um, she has all these different qualifications before she will even date a man because she doesn't even know how to go about finding to get a man. She's been programmed to look for a man who has resources, and that's all she cares about. Everything else is secondary. That's why when you hear them talk, the first thing they bring up is height, resources. It's never about integrity. Is he honest? Is he trustworthy? Is he responsible? Does he have discipline? Is he compassionate? Is he sympathetic? Does he do charity? None of these things are a requirement for these men to have. The first requirement is how much does he make, and then it starts to go down to the other things like height, which a man has no control over his height, but height and all this other stuff. But the character and the integrity of a man is way at the bottom of the list.
I sat in bed reading these comments, and I was like, oh my God, they're right. And they're not totally right. I don't think I'm a horrible, selfish person for not wanting to have children in my 20s and not wanting, to have children during that marriage. Um, but it did scare me because a lot of what they.
She just said have children during that marriage. So that leads me to believe. So she was married. Okay, so she was actually married before then. Because the article that she's referring to, I never read the article. I've never read it, so I don't know what's in it. So she said they were calling her selfish and for not wanting to have kids during that marriage. So she's a divorcee. She was actually married and she got divorced. Wow. Okay. So this is actually worse than I thought.
They were saying, they were like, you've been very selfish your whole life. And that's what I heard over and over again. And that's actually the next thing that I wrote that I think will be coming out soon is I got all these horrible comments from men telling me I had missed my chance and that I, had was a stupid feminist who was focused on myself, which I thought was interesting because, like I said, I don't consider myself a feminist at all. But that it did get me thinking, and I did write an article that I think will come out soon about the downfall of living a selfish, me focused life, and it does. I mean, for me, it's definitely started to feel hollow and meaningless. And, it's taken me to this point in my life to realize that that's not a life that's going to bring you happiness. I mean, and maybe it does for some people. I honestly have a hard time believing that. Uh, if I thought I would spend the rest of my life alone, if I didn't think that I would get married and have children, I would be devastated. So I don't know. It is such a me focused culture right now. It really is. And I just think a lot of us are missing out, and I certainly have felt like that the last year and a half. And I thank God that I realized it in time because I don't want to wake up at, 60 by myself and go, well, I had a lot of fun, you know?
Let me tell you something, guys. And I'm not the first person to say this. Kevin Samuels have said this, but life is about relationships, guys. Life is about relationships. It's about relationships, and it's about helping other people. It's not about this self pursuit of individual happiness. And right now, we have a society that is obsessed and that is pushing independent living. Be independent. Be self sufficient. This will not lead to a happy life. You will live a very lonely existence if you are not focused on building relationships and helping other people. If you live an individual life, when you leave this place, you see, this is why some people, when they pass away, they have hundreds, if not thousands, of people that that speak on their behalf on how wonderful this person was, how they helped them. And there's people that have been blessed like that, where they when they left, when they died, there was just hundreds and thousands of people who just mourned them and celebrated their life and their existence, because their existence and their life had an impact on their existence and their lives and the lives of their family. That's when you know you lived a successful life. But if you live a life of individualism and self pursuit of happiness, when you leave this place, you will not have people saying that you impacted them, you changed their life, you changed their life, because you would not have, because that is not the life you chosen to live. We have a choice. We can live a life that is serviceable to other people, or we can live a life that is only serviceable to ourselves. And the latter option, is a very lonely existence. And I'm glad she's finding that out.
It's like I want to wake up 60 next to the love of my life, raising a family, doing the things that are really important and the things that really matter. Um, yeah, I don't think you're going to be on your deathbed one day and look back and go, I wish I went to more parties or spent more, time shopping. It's like, you're going to look back and say, oh my God, like this person I created was someone I loved. And, that's going to be the thing that's meaningful. So I feel unbelievably betrayed by feminism. And I don't want to put it on the movement, because I believe you make your own choices. And everything I've done leading up to this point in my life.
She says she feels incredibly betrayed by feminism. She said betrayed. Words have meaning, guys. I always say that. Never just brush past the words. She said she feels betrayed by feminism. Well, the word betrayed means to be treacherously abandoned, deserted, or mistreated. She feels betrayed by feminism. She feels that she was treacherously, not just abandoned, but treacherously abandoned. That means ruthlessly, mercilessly, no conscience, no compassion, treacherously misbandoned or abandoned by feminism. So you have betrayed and you have betray. To turn your back on someone, to turn your back on something, to turn your back and harm someone. The act of betrayal, being disloyal, betraying someone's trust. That's how feminism made her feel. This is what feminism has done to a lot of women. Made them feel betrayed, because they get to a point like she got to, where they're completely unhappy because they listen to all the information that feminism gave them. They follow all the principles and the guidelines that they were given by feminism that was supposed to lead to this utopia or this state of nirvana lifestyle and existence. And it didn't lead them there. It did not lead them there. That's where the betrayal comes in at. I've been betrayed. I've done everything you said. I followed these principles. I followed these ordinances. I stood in this lane, and now I'm at the end of it, and there's no nirvana. I feel betrayed.
Been my choice, and that's on me. But when I was a little girl, it was like, and to be fair, I think this partly comes from coming from a divorced family and seeing my mom kind of handle a lot. I mean,
All right. So she gets divorced in her 20s. She grew up in a household where she saw divorce. Her mom divorced her father. We're starting to see a pattern. Most women who get divorced come from families where there was divorce, where their parents split, then when they get married, they split. That is the pattern. The same way most people who are born to poor parents, when they become parents, they are poor themselves. And then their kids are poor, and then down the line. It's just one of those things, guys. Families that are usually poor have children who continue to be poor. That's what happened the majority of the time. Of course, there's people that break out of that cycle, but the common way cycles go is things usually stay the same. It's the same thing with wealth. Wealthy families tend to produce wealthy kids. The wealth stays in the family. They have children, their children have children, their children have, and they stay wealthy. They stay rich. Same way, same thing, guys. So it works in the opposite direction. It works that way with poverty. It works that way with being wealthy.
I just saw a woman take care of a lot. But I was constantly fed this idea that women can do everything. We don't really need men. Women can have the great career and have the kids that they like and change the tires and do this. I mean, I grew up thinking, and men are great, but like I can do all the same things.
That's feminism 101. Modern day feminism 101 anyway. This is what it morphed into.
Like I really I do feel in many ways betrayed by that line of thinking. And I got that from so many of the women in my life too. I mean, like I said, I do come from a very traditional family. So I wouldn't say so much from family, but just a lot of like the older women in my life. I kind of want to go back to some of those teachers and coaches and say, what the hell did you mean by that? Because
Guys, what did we say? What do we talk about? Women keep women miserable. Women, single women keep other women single. Women keep other women miserable. They know they're not happy. They know they're not happy by the decisions that they make. What did she say earlier in the video? She says, I'll find it hard to believe that all these women with their careers, making this money, but who don't have families, who aren't married, who don't have children, she said, I find it hard to believe that they are truly happy. And she is absolutely right. The difference is, even though these older women are unhappy, even though these older women are lonely, even though these older women are miserable, instead of them giving good advice to the younger women so that they can have different outcomes, what do? They give them the same damn advice. Why? So they can end up miserable like them. Because women don't like to see other women happy. Women have this internal competitiveness against other women, even when they're friends, even when they're family members. Women do not like to see other women succeed past their own success. So a woman who's lonely, has a career, but doesn't have a husband, doesn't have a family, doesn't have children, and who's miserable and lonely, instead of her talking to a younger woman or another woman so she can have a different outcome and not end up in the same situation that she's in, they won't do it. This is the difference between men and women. When men make a mistake and go to prison, when men make a mistake, go to prison, get out and can't get a job, when men make a mistake and sell drugs, when men make a mistake and join gangs, when men make a mistake and do whatever it is that they did, older men go back to the younger men and tell them not to do it. Don't do drugs. Don't sell drugs. Don't join a gang. Don't go to prison. That's the difference between older men and older women. And that's the difference between men and women in general, period. Older men try and be mentors to the younger men. Older women tell younger women the same old crap. So they end up in the same situation because they don't want them to succeed in life where they failed. This is what she's talking about. This is why they're unable to lead. This is why we cannot have women leading because they already have an inherent bias against one another. They refuse to give each other honest, good, pure information.
And women can't do it all. We can't. Such a lie. I mean,
All right, guys, so that's it for the video. Um, like I said earlier, she had a revelation. She got very emotional. She had to gather herself. Everything she said is true. We already know it is. We tried to tell them. But again, the propaganda machine, the matrix, and whatever else you want to call it is thick, it's deep. It's been being programmed into women since they were little kids. It starts with television, it starts with school, magazines, TV, movies, parents, friends, relatives, whatever you want to call it, and it extends itself and continues into college, into the workforce. So she's come to the realization of what it is that we already know. Men and women are meant to be together. Women are not meant to operate independently, but because of the state that we're in now, a lot of men will not have a mate. And that saddens me to say that. But in order for a lot of men today to have a spouse, they would literally have to compromise on a lot of different truths and a lot of different fronts. And they're not going to be able to do that because a woman can always pull out the Joker card, and that Joker card is divorce. And when she pulls that card out, what are you going to do? Nothing. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll leave a link so you can go check this out if you want. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. She came to the realization. She's 38 years old, so hopefully she can still find someone and have a family and do that whole thing. But it's going to be tough. All right, I'll talk to you soon.